a big reason why people want to get onto YouTube is because they want a community. They want a community around what they're passionate about, what their values are, what their, what's important to them. And, especially in business too, it's like, you want to have that the heart and soul behind the business. And a big part of building your community on YouTube is step 4, which is your channel mission. So your channel mission is, I always say the channel mission is the glue that holds your community together, right? Because your topics and what you're talking about, that's your niche. But your values, what you stand for, that's your mission.
Being limitless is knowing your success and your growth are built on a radical belief in yourself. Limitless is honoring your purpose, your health, and impact above all else. Limitless is never playing small, because the more alive you feel in your life, the more growth and success you attract. Hi, my name is Jamie Ratermann, and I am a holistic business coach, meaning I am just as invested in growing your health as I am in growing your wealth. With 11 plus years in brand and social media marketing, I help rebellious entrepreneurs master marketing, embody leadership, and say fuck it to the hustle. This show is here to encourage you to become more radically aware of your self-imposed limits, to break free of your shoulds, and to expand your brand into a movement led by you. Hello, lovelies. Welcome to another episode of the Limitless podcast. Today, we have a guest on this podcast who's going to be sharing about a channel we don't talk enough about, although you've probably heard me share a little bit about how it is on the rise for all of us who have been jumping into video. But today we have an expert talking to us all about YouTube. We are welcome Erika Viera, a YouTube strategist and entrepreneur, talking about how this channel can be such an essential piece to your business. I want to tell you a little story, though, just to prove how much Erika's business is on the internet. Her visibility helped me find her. I've never fully met her until this podcast today. We've DM'd, we've chatted, we've talked a lot, but I found her through wanting to have an expert just like her. So her SEO key terms were kicking ass on her podcast, being able to find it. I went ahead and binged her podcast, which is the YouTube Power Hour, and it is fantastic. So being able to have her on the podcast today is me kind of like geeking out of the person I've been listening to for a while. And then, of course, she's going to be sharing a little bit about us. But Erika, wonderful to officially meet you, but also thank you so much for jumping on the podcast with me.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Jamie. I'm so glad you found me on YouTube by searching, I don't know what you were searching, but that's the idea behind YouTube. It's a powerful, powerful search engine backed by Google because it's owned by Google, and it's got the most sophisticated and powerful search engine on the web. So that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love YouTube. So thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad. Thank you, Google, for helping me find amazing people.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your story and why you decided to choose entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So, the question about entrepreneurship, I've wanted to be an entrepreneur as long as I can remember. I've always been somebody that has been, let's say, like naturally good at sales. In high school, my first job was at Nordstrom's. And for anybody that knows about Nordstrom's and the department store and how they operate, at least back when I worked there for summer jobs throughout high school and college, is you get paid through commission. And that was my first taste in making money based off your efforts, right? At a young age, in high school. And it's like, wow, I can work harder and make more money than the next person. That's awesome. And, I jumped in doing really well, selling clothes at Nordstrom's, and I absolutely loved it. And I did it in high school and I did it in college. And it was just my first taste at, even though, work at Nordstrom's, you're still working for a company, but it's still the idea of putting in the effort and the work and getting compensated for that, not just an hourly wage, right, or a salary. And then in college, I studied communications and Spanish. I was a double major. And then I actually went into real estate. I went to commercial real estate, and I did that for several years. And then I realized that just wasn't in alignment with kind of what I wanted to do and who I was. It was an amazing, amazing training ground for just business, entrepreneurship, sales in general, especially commercial real estate, very, very cutthroat in Los Angeles. And
I can imagine. Oh my gosh.
It was hardcore, very great training. And then, from there, I decided I didn't necessarily want to do commercial real estate. And I ended up starting a clothing line with my sister. And it was licensed apparel for women, so for sports teams. So we sold really cute, tops, sweatshirt, tank tops, things like that, with the logos of sports teams on it. So we worked with the Lakers, the Clippers, the Kings. Our stuff was in the stadium at the Staples Center. At the time, it was called the Staples Center in LA. Different universities, San Diego State, the UCs. So it was licensed, like really cute licensed apparel. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, so that's what we did for several years. And I had that clothing line with my sister. And then same thing, just both of us kind of realized it was a very, very, very cutthroat competitive world, especially that sports apparel world, because we're essentially competing against the Nikes and Reeboks of the world. And it just was it was awesome. It was an amazing experience, but it was the same thing. We're like, I don't know if this I want to be my life's work, right? And then I jumped into the podcast where I started the YouTube Power Hour podcast. And at the time, that was after I did the clothing line, and I went into a corporate kind of sales job related to real estate. And I knew that corporate job wasn't necessarily what I really wanted to do, but it was like, I need to figure out how to make money, right? And in the back of my mind, I was like, I still want to do some kind of business or something with entrepreneurship. And then my story is always all over the place too, because at the same time, I was always into acting. So growing up, I did theater. I was a singer, and then I had a commercial agent living in Los Angeles. So I was going on auditions for different commercials, and I booked different commercials. And the other thing I was into was red carpet reporting and hosting. So I worked with a podcast, actually with Maria Menounos, who she works as a host. At the time, she was doing E and Extra and all these things, and she started a podcast network with her now husband. And I worked with them, and they would send me off to different red carpets. And one of the things they sent me off to do was actually interviewing YouTubers at not Vid Summit, at VidCon. And I remember I
love how this story's like, this is amazing.
All over the place. It's kind of like everywhere, right? Yeah. So at the time, it was a long time ago. It was like 2015, I think. And so I went to VidCon, and that was my first kind of eye-opening experience with YouTube and the power of YouTube. And when I was there, I was like, oh my God, there were like thousands of people there wanting to talk to these YouTubers. And I was used to be on the red carpet interviewing celebrities, the traditional celebrities. And I saw just how these were celebrities as well. And I didn't realize it to the extent until I was at VidCon, and I was thinking, this is the future. These are the celebrities. And it was obviously a very young crowd, young kids, but it was like the fandom of like, oh my God, like, boy bands back in the day. It's like screaming. And, as I was interviewing them, I realized, wow, these people this is it. This is what's next. This is what's going to happen. And I just sat with that for a little while and just thought that was really interesting. And I did have an idea at the time. I was like, gosh, there should be a podcast of people interviewing these people, right? So it was like 2014. And I don't think I actually launched the podcast until like a year later, where I said, I love talking to people. I think this is fascinating. I loved watching YouTube. And so I did, and I launched the podcast, and that's how I got to know YouTubers. That's how I got to know YouTube. So I had the podcast. I wasn't making any money from it. For several years, it was just a hobby. And what ended up happening was that because I have a background in sales and marketing, I'm very familiar with sales and marketing with all my experience, that obviously there's an aspect of YouTube that is very heavy in sales and marketing. You need to understand the algorithm, which is based upon selling yourself, selling your video, marketing with the titles and all that. So there's an element of sales and marketing when it comes to YouTube. There's also an element of camera presence. And because I have that background in acting, I just had an understanding of just the way YouTube, I understood it. And then I interviewed a bunch of, at this point, I've interviewed over almost 400 YouTubers. But what happened is that a lot of the people that would come onto my show, actually, they're like, wow, you know so much about YouTube. I would end up helping them, just kind of, just giving them advice and based on what I saw. And after the conversation, and, Jamie, how you podcasts are, a lot of times you end up talking to the guests for a while, either before or after, you get a relationship with them. So I ended up just
Absolutely.
helping them. And then they would tell their friends and be like, oh my God, there's this amazing podcast. You should be on it, or you should talk to Erika. And then the listeners of my podcast would start asking me for advice. So then I just put it out there and be like, hey, I put a call to action and said, oh, I'll do coaching. It was like very nominal fee, like not much at all. If anybody wants to work with me, just send me an email. And then I just got flooded with requests. So I just started coaching people. And then it was January of 2018 where I officially started to start my Zero to Influence YouTube Bootcamp, which is my signature program, which is the program that I still run to this day. And when I launched it, I was just overwhelmed with the response. I mean, I was like happy. I was thinking like, 15 people would sign up and all that. No, it was like, I think at first it was my first launch it ended up being like 40 something people, or even up to 50. I don't even remember at the time. Yeah, 50, 40, 50, maybe 50 something. I don't even remember.
That's
But
amazing.
it was a lot more than I was planning, but it was really exciting. And that was the launch of my boot camp. And then, my business continued to grow. And then with the pandemic, it just really took off. And that's where, the boot camp took off. That's where my one-on-one coaching took off. And then that's where my agency that I started to kind of form. And so now I have same thing. I have my boot camp, my Zero to Influence YouTube boot camp, which is a group coaching program. And then I do a lot of one-on-one coaching and consulting for, people that want to do YouTube full time, for business owners, for busy business owners. And then I have my agency that for very busy business owners that want to outsource everything.
Yeah.
Me and my team run their channels. So that's kind of my
You got the 3-in-1 working for you.
Yeah, a long story on how I got into. A lot of people are like, how did you end up doing this? I'm like, I think there was just so much in my history that lent itself to really understanding YouTube. And I love YouTube. I love everything about it. So yeah, at this point I've coached, well over 1,000, YouTubers. I do specialize more in women. I wouldn't say women YouTubers, but it's really the content that women audiences tend to gravitate towards. So, even some of my agency clients are actually men, but their audiences are, women type audiences. So that's kind of what you could say I specialize in, but I actually work with all kinds of YouTube channels. So yeah.
That's amazing. I hear so much in your story. I feel like I hear a really strong belief in yourself. From what I heard, like right out of college, you decided to run your own business, like just from the get-go. So like the ability to just like make it happen was like a big part of what you did. And that even to you seem like a very self-motivated, like the idea of deciding to start a merch business that was going to rival Adidas and Nike and having all of those elements in there. But also it seems like where your business is at now is born out of pure enjoyment, just like fascination. And then like you just kept moving with it. And then now all of the things that come after. I feel like sometimes when somebody will come into entrepreneurship, they'll like, okay, I want to make money right away. And your story is a really great example of, I did this thing that I enjoyed as a hobby, and then it turned into the thing that now like I can't wait to get up and do all day long, that type of feeling. So I feel like I love like how the sales kind of dripped through, how just like connecting with humans dripped through your whole story. And it makes total sense to where you're at now.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's like I kept trying different things until I found the one that really aligned with my, life's mission and purpose, or what I could see myself doing long term, like, between commercial real estate and then the clothing line. It's, none of it, I enjoyed all of it, and it was fun, and it was different ways to make money and start businesses and learn about businesses, but none of them really aligned with me and what I, really felt good about doing. But this I feel like this is it for me. I can't think of a better career for me, because I love it. I absolutely love it, because it's a combination of me being able to have my own business and then also really helping women. That's my mission, is because I believe so strongly in YouTube, and I see the power of having a YouTube following and being able to help women literally change their lives by increasing their exposure on YouTube. I mean, life-changing. And the stories I have of women that have literally changed their lives is what keeps me going. I have, a coaching client who, she started her YouTube channel. It was a interior design YouTube channel because she enjoyed interior design, but she was actually in medical school or going to medical school. And she had started this YouTube channel, and it was kind of a fun hobby, but she realized the more and more she did it, it was what she really loved doing. And she just wasn't sure about medical school. And then she signed on for coaching with me. And together her channel started off at like 30 something thousand subscribers. And then when she signed on with me, and then, I helped her grow her channel. Now she has almost 400,000 subscribers a couple years later. And she didn't go to medical school. And this is her career. And she's making tons of money and she loves it. And it's life-changing for her. Right. And then I had another lady that she is older. She's in her 60s and she started YouTube just for fun, for makeup. And then over time, she decided she enjoyed it. And then she signed on with coaching with me. And her goal was to be able to retire early, She had a corporate job that she worked. And sure enough, she worked with me, and I can't remember how many subscribers she had when she started with me. I think it was around the same, I can't remember. She was just, small channel. And then we grew her channel up to, I think it was like 70,000 subscribers at that point. And then she was able to retire early. So these stories are the ones that, and I have so many more. I can go on and on and on. I have a pet YouTuber that she was very dark place in her life. And she was working a job that she enjoyed, but she really wanted to have a YouTube channel. So she was barely even, I think she had less than 1,000 subscribers. And then we worked together and she now has, I think, over 700,000 subscribers and is one of the number one pet YouTubers in existence. And it's just life-changing. So all these stories, that's like why I do what I do. And I feel so lucky to be able to help these women and change their lives.
Absolutely. I feel like, I think a lot of just in general, like clearly I love being a coach, you love being a coach, but just like being able to watch people build their life off of things they enjoy versus like for many of us, we were sold the hard work, hustle, corporate life. That was the only way to like prosper. I think baked in that is something simple, like that simple belief of like, oh wait, the more we enjoy this, the like more wealthier we feel monetarily and in our day-to-day, like that feeling of really understanding that. And all these stories, I'm like, ooh, I want to follow all of these people. It sounds amazing. The other side of it too is just the power of the creator economy, in general, being visible online, using your presence in whatever way you decide to, and how it can build into this. But that's exactly what we're talking about today. So let's dive right in, because I think you are clearly sharing with us the power of YouTube, what it's all about. But what would you say YouTube has that no other social media channel has?
Ooh, well, I would say that powerful search engine owned by Google. Instagram doesn't have it. TikTok doesn't have it. TikTok has its own different, algorithm. The only search-based platform that I think is somewhat similar to YouTube is Pinterest, because there's a search element to it. But I would say it's the search capabilities, and it's the algorithm, and it's really the ability to grow very, very quickly and establish some really strong audience loyalty. The thing with long form content is that I believe you can actually make a lot more money with long form content versus short form content. I think short form content has its place. I think it's great. There's a lot of people making a lot of money on TikTok and Instagram, but I think YouTube, you actually don't need as many followers and subscribers to make a lot of money. You can have a very niche audience. You can really tap into that audience, and you can really generate a really good income from YouTube with that long form content. Because that know, like, and trust, I think it's established. You can establish it relatively quickly and really get people to buy things. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that too. I feel like that's even that's where like TikTok has recently released their new creator fund, and it's all about getting people to watch longer. So it seems that there's something to like their ability, like the longer the video, the more that companies are able to properly pay people as well.
I mean, that's the thing with YouTube is that, and this is a whole nother topic, and I don't, I've done podcast, YouTube videos on it, podcast videos on it, but like, YouTube has its short form content as well that's trying to compete with TikTok. But the creators I know that make a lot of money, it's long form content, because you can make it with AdSense, because the longer people stay watching your video, And you'll see, like, if you ever look on my sales page and all that, that a lot of the testimonials are, wow, working with Erika, I tripled my AdSense, I quadrupled my AdSense. Like, I know how to get people get paid more on YouTube, which is a thing. But like, the longer videos, it's just common sense. It's that the more people that are watching and the more watch time you have, the more AdSense you're going to make. So that's one way. But the other way is affiliate income, which I have found that through long form video, people make a lot more with affiliate income with long form video versus short form. And I actually have done a lot of tests, and I've run a lot of tests, and I work with so many, influencers with very large followings on all the platforms. And it's coming to realize, I think, more and more now that the conversion for affiliate income is much higher with long form content. And then you can sell products. I mean, there's just so many different ways to make money on YouTube. I'm all about making money. I'm all about pursuing your passion, but making money at the same time. What I hate to see are creators putting in so much work and not being compensated for it, or not making a lot from it. Because it's, and I'm never one to deny it. I'm never one to say like, oh, you can put in 2 hours a week and make a ton of money on YouTube. People make these crazy claims and stuff. I'm like, no, I work with hundreds and hundreds of full-time influencers that are full-time on YouTube, full-time on Instagram, full-time even on TikTok. I mean, I know this world, and nobody I know doesn't do it with some blood, sweat, and tears, right? So if you're going to put that effort in there, you want to make as much money as possible. And that's always what I'm teaching people. I'm teaching people how to grow, and I'm teaching them how to make a lot of money.
See, this is what's so interesting about it, is that because of YouTube Shorts, there's this feeling of, oh, we can just jump on this, that YouTube's easier than what it was in the past. Is that not true? Or are you thinking that, like, in general, the Shorts is encouraging more entrepreneurs to hop onto the platform, but it's still, as far as getting staying power or just simply being paid, you want to devote more time than probably what is being put out there?
It depends on what your goal is, because Shorts is a great way to gain a lot of exposure. If you want to just gain exposure, it's a good way to do that. And for people that are already creating short form content, say on Instagram or TikTok, I'd say repurpose it and put it onto YouTube. Why not? But if you're only doing shorts, you're not really taking advantage of the true power of YouTube. Like it's a little bit of a different algorithm. It's a different audience. I find that it's a different type of viewer who's watching long form content than who's watching short form content. So I tell people, like, if you're already doing short form, put it onto YouTube. Why not? But you're missing out on something if you're not doing any long form content. You're totally missing out on a lot of benefits that you can get. But like you said, Jamie, there's more work involved. I wouldn't say there's more work involved with long form content, but you're going to have to put some time into creating that long form content. So yeah.
Absolutely. I think so. In general, I know that the majority of, at least the listening audience, is Instagrammers first. They've built their business on there. Many, like, with 1,000 to 10,000 followers on there, being able to have a 6-figure big business on Instagram. So thinking about that. So whenever I do talk about, okay, well, you can open yourself up to TikTok, or you can open yourself up to Pinterest, or recently been talking about, hey guys, like, YouTube seems to be absolutely, like, we are putting in all this effort into your Instagram content, make it into a long form, or bring it over into short form on your shorts and start to play over on YouTube. So thought is what's that mindset? How can you switch it from, like, how Instagram is versus how YouTube is? So you were talking about how it's a different type of user. Like, how do you feel like you approach your YouTube content versus if you're deciding to post something up on the Instagram, or helping a client do that?
Well, I would say, it depends on what they're doing on Instagram, but I find it's very different on Instagram than what you're going to do on YouTube, in the sense of like the actual content that you're going to create. So, on Instagram, it's, there's reels, there's static images, there's stories, which is great for engaging. But sometimes there's a time and a place for a little bit of longer content, whether it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whether it's something that you want to really explain. As business owners, I always tell them the best place to start is think about, what are you doing in your business and interacting with clients or customers, and think about what are the top 20 questions you get asked about what you do, right? And then create a YouTube video about each of those. And this is your place and opportunity to be able to like talk a little bit longer. It doesn't have to be like this, like, I mean, yes, there's an element of YouTube that's fast and snappy and you want to get to the point and don't waste the beginning of the video just spending 3 minutes introducing yourself. Like, get to the point. If you're going to have a video about a very specific topic, just get into it. And you can introduce yourself later on, like in the middle of the video, but give people what they want. But I always say that the easiest place is to start is, what are the questions that people are asking you in your own business? For example, I worked with a dietitian and she had a successful offline business, a brick and mortar business in Louisiana. And she got onto YouTube and she wanted to gain exposure to people to actually do virtual consults with her. But also I think eventually she wants to have some kind of course. And so, we started working together, and the first thing it's like, okay, what are people asking you? What are people asking you in your dietitian business? What are the questions that you get? And so that's where we started. And it's a really, really good place to start because, without even doing any research, you already know that's what people want. You already know that's what people are interested in. And I think people complicate. I think people simplify certain aspects, oversimplify certain aspects of YouTube, and then I think they overcomplicate other aspects of YouTube. And the place that I think people overcomplicate and think that they need to know so much about is the SEO and the algorithm. If there's one piece of advice that you take away from this interview is that with YouTube, the algorithm follows the audience. So the most important thing you can do is know your audience. I have my audience attraction system, which I have a mini course all about. It's a $39 mini course where I go into detail on the audience attraction system, which is creating dynamic content for your specific audience. And I go deep into the different types of content to create, but it boils down to know your audience. And if you know your audience, you don't need to study SEO. You don't need to study the algorithm. I don't even do keyword research anymore. I don't. It's based upon the audience. If you know the audience inside and out, you will be successful on YouTube.
That's beautiful. And I think there is a side of this that, from what you're saying, is that there's an overcomplication of content where you just think to yourself, what do people ask me? And that can be, that really can be in any form, but especially when the algorithm has SEO involved, when they're going like, okay, what are people searching for? We're going to make sure we get related topics, like not making it into this, oh, I've got to show off my life, or there's this big lifestyle. Like, no, I think and again, I want you to always correct me, but because this is me being, I want to call myself an amateur YouTuber for the fact that I've been using the podcast on there for a little while, but the idea of, it's more of an educational platform than anywhere else. So people go there to seek information.
Yes.
And of course, there's an entertainment element to it, of course, but like they kind of have a focus. They're not just scrolling, not as normally scrolling through the YouTube feed to find something. They're literally going, is there a video about, a grounding meditation? Is there a video about how to do this makeup? Is there a video about how to grow my business? And like being able, I feel like the search is probably used more than just the home feed. So being able to think that, like, that's how this algorithm is so different. We're not worried about how we can get into the feed. Or worried is the wrong word. The focus is not how to get into the feed. It's more about how do I use the terms that my audience is going to use to find this information.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's less kind of like, yeah, I mean, it's really focused on the audience and what do they want? What do they need? Educating them, giving them, that's why I would say, like, oh, create valuable content. Yes, you want to create valuable content, but it's like, you need to know what it is that is valuable to your audience, And so, and the thing is, though, that's why I love working with business owners, because business owners know that, because they're working with clients and customers already. So it's just like, well, just look to them in regards to think about your work with them and then bring that onto YouTube. Like, what would benefit your customers the most to learn about too, So
absolutely.
So as business owners, you just need to tap into that and think like, okay, if that and that's all you really need to know in regards to starting a channel, and just saying, okay, what are the 20 questions that I get asked the most, and then creating a video for each of them.
I love that. Perfect. Like we've got step one of the starter kit, because that was going to be my next question. What would be, if someone who hasn't even grabbed started their channel yet, if they're going, okay, listening to Jamie and Erica, I want to take a tap at YouTube, see if this is something I can do, what would you say is their first, I don't know, 3 to 5 steps that will allow them to get started on a strong foundation?
Exactly. Okay, great question. That's where I created my audience attraction system, because of the first 4 steps to figuring out why, to figuring out your YouTube channel, right? So the first step is your why. Like, why are you doing it? What's your purpose behind it? That also will dictate and determine the strategy. So, like, why are you doing it? That's the first step in it. The second step is the niche. So what are you going to talk about on your channel? For business owners, usually pretty easy because it's something related to your business. But I work with a combination of people that are creatives, people that are business owners, people that see YouTube as a viable way to make money, but they're just not sure what to do. So, I work with all those people. And so that's a big one, is figuring out, what you're going to talk about. But for business owners, it's usually pretty easy. The next is, step 3.
Well, really quick question. I think with niching, I think people get a little bit scared because for the idea that they're going to be creating like videos. I think the first question, even in general, in any of my programs, when we're like, okay, let's redefine your ideal client. Let's decide what you want to be known for. They're like, well, I'm multi-passionate. I have a lot of different things. Like, would you say, especially at the beginning of starting a YouTube channel, you want to kind of hone, maybe have a smaller categories to be known for, and you get to expand? Or would you say that you can have more than one?
Yeah, my answer might surprise you, and hopefully didn't have loud airplane right here. In San Diego, the military can just fly their planes wherever they want, and there's loud airplanes every now and then. But so, my answer might surprise you in that when I tell people, if they're really not sure what niche to do, and I love talking niche, like in my boot camp and the group coaching program and the group calls. I mean, so much of it is really helping people refine that. And I do think my superpower is helping people really know what they should be doing on YouTube, because that will make or break your channel. Because it's kind of like, that's the your North Star in which you follow. And that's why I tell people at the beginning, unless you really know what you're some people know. Some people are like, oh, I had a girl in my boot camp, and she does HR. And so she was starting her channel, and it's all about helping people find jobs. And she worked in HR, and I think she started the boot camp with a couple thousand subscribers. She now has like over 200,000 subscribers, and that's all she does is her YouTube. She quit her HR business, but she knew this is what I'm going to do. So that part was easy for her. But for some people that don't know, like you said, multi-passion, I have different things. And I tell people, try it all on YouTube. Like, don't feel like it has to be perfect before you get started. You need to know, my programs I create help people kind of better refine it or figure it out. But the best way to learn is by testing, and testing both in the audience sense, like how does the audience respond, and also for your own self, because you might think, oh, I want to create a channel about XYZ. After 5 videos in, you're like, oh no, I don't. Like, I'm over it. Like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Right. So it's really important that for yourself, that you enjoy creating content for this topic, because it needs to be sustainable. I have worked with people have come to me hundreds of thousands of subscribers in, and they're like, I hate my channel. I hate my audience. I hate what I do. I hate my videos. I can't do this anymore. And so we have to make a niche pivot, and that can be difficult, because, you built a whole foundation on one specific thing that you're not into anymore. Right. So it's important to get it right.
Like a fast track to burnout.
Yeah, exactly. It's the fastest road to burnout, and it's important to get it right at the beginning. But if you don't, you can always change it. I work with a lot of people, and that's what we do, is we help figure out and let's change it. But I'd say get on there.
The goal within it too is like there's a side of it that it's people follow the content which you provide. But the more you're doing it, the more you're in it, and the more you're like your energy's in it. Like they're like, I love your energy. I'll see what you're interested in and continue. I think the best part of being a creator and showing face as a part of your business is that they're like a fan of you as well as what you do. So being able to like have, like, really making sure your content, of course, serves your audience. That's step 1, but also serves you is the way in which this becomes something that's like growth is built in because you're looking forward to doing it, as well as you're listening to this community of people who can't wait to kind of see you, flourish and thrive.
Yeah, I call it OCET, on camera energy transfer. And you will not, if you don't love what you're doing, the audience will sense it. So you need to be truly interested and excited about what you're talking about on YouTube. And so that's all part of when I'm teaching people how to figure out what niche they do to do. It's all part of it. Like I have like a niche quiz, which people feel like kind of like there's a lot of self analysis that needs to happen in regards to, what are you good at? What do you love to do? What are you better at than other people? What are you talented at? But at the same time, what are you knowledgeable in? Like there's all these different layers to help figure out like how you can best stand out on YouTube.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Step 1, step 2, we got it. What's step 3?
Step 3 is then know your audience. Then figure out, I call it dynamic content, where you need to get into the heart and soul of your audience. And I have a whole kind of list of things that people need to think about when it comes to really deeply understanding your audience and getting those emotional triggers. It's not just about, what's the long tail keyword and what people are searching for. Yes, but it's also like deeply understanding what their needs and wants and desires are, and all those things that will get them to want to actually click on your video. So tapping into their emotional triggers and creating content around that. So it's much deeper than like, okay, who's your audience? And the superficial things like, oh, well, she's a woman like in her 30s and she wants to start a business. And yeah, but what are her deep desires? What are her needs? What got her to where she is? Like really understanding those things. So that's step 3.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, no, I'll say like, you want to know them so well that you would know what they would feel like to have a cup of coffee with. Like I'll more or less call them my adult imaginary best friend. Like, exactly how you would like them to receive this content and what they might do with it. So like have that deeper knowing can be more inviting, as well as feeling like you're not just like trying to like put content out to anyone who's interested in this one thing. It's going, no, I hope that my ideal client, like imaginary best friend, is named Morgan. Like, how is Morgan going to feel about the thing I'm about to send out there? So you just have this, it feels like more of a one-on-one communication versus this, like, I'm just like sharing a whole bunch of stuff with everybody. So there's that meaningful connection that comes with like that deeper knowing.
Exactly. And I find that a lot of people that have kind of jumped into YouTube and then they join my boot camp. It's kind of like the spaghetti effect. And like they throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks, right? Where without being like really purposeful. But I like what you said, like the deeper knowing of who your true fan is. And I use true fan based off of Kevin Kelly's essay, 1,000 True Fans, where the thought is that you just need 1,000 true fans in order to be successful as a creative, that you can make a living, income, living wage as a creative. And it's true in that you need 1,000 of those ride or die people. But the more you know them, the more you connect with them, the more you're specific with that, you have specificity, the more they're like, that's she's my person. Like I will watch every single video she puts out.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's this is how being a creator or being a creator CEO in this way, like running a business and deciding to own your voice with content online becomes meaningful. It's not just this like promotional platform. It's this additional place where like you see the meaning of your business being played out, as well as the people that invest a little bit higher in you get to get more of you or get the bigger benefits, whatever that might be. But this idea of not allowing social in general to be this like, oh, I got to do this thing, be like, no, like when else before have I been able to share loudly about this and let myself be seen in my purpose? And I know if I just show up in this way, that like just inner belief as much as just human behavior, people are going to be coming to me. The more more people see me in my light, the more people will come to me, which is exactly what I think this like creator economy can do for entrepreneurs who think that they don't have to be out on social as much as they think that they truly can be. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. All right, what's step 4? Or do you have a step 4? Because there is a step 4. 1 through 3 are very strong.
Yeah, there's 4 steps in the process, and you cannot have a successful YouTube channel without all 4 of them. And that's why that's what's part of my audience attraction system. So step 1 is your why are you doing it? Step 2 is your niche. Step 3 is your true fan. Step 4 is your channel mission. So a big reason why people want to get onto YouTube, and actually to go back to that was a good question at the beginning that you asked, and like you brought up the thing about it being education based. You asked the question like, oh, how's YouTube different? I'm like, yeah, duh, education based. I didn't even think about that. So that was a good one. And then the other one that I just thought of now is community. A big reason why people want to get onto YouTube is because they want a community. They want a community around what they're passionate about, what their values are, what their, what's important to them. And, especially in business too, it's like, you want to have that the heart and soul behind the business. And a big part of building your community on YouTube is step 4, which is your channel mission. So your channel mission is, I always say the channel mission is the glue that holds your community together, right? Because your topics and what you're talking about, that's your niche. But your values, what you stand for, that's your mission. And that's where you get that shared relationship with the viewer. Why would somebody want to watch your channel about, let's say, because I used the example earlier about interior design, when there's dozens of other YouTube channels about interior design? Well, you stand for something as it relates to interior design, as it relates to, wanting to help people with that. With that one example, the channel, you can look it up with Kiva Brent, and she has a wonderful YouTube channel. And her mission really is because she grew up with her grandmother that, didn't have a lot of money, but her grandmother believed so strongly in living in a beautiful environment. So her grandmother would always go to places and like she would find a way to buy, say thrifting or furniture, but make it her own and make it really beautiful. So she believed very strongly that no matter how much money you have, you can live in a beautiful space. So for Kiva, that was really that guiding light, and that mission for her is to help people that no matter where they're at in life or their income, they really can live in a beautiful space. So, that was her mission around it. That was her story. That was her mission. And people, resonated with that. And so, having something beyond like, oh, I just love like, picking out paint colors or I love like picking out furniture, right? Like there's a mission and a heart and soul behind it. For me and what I do, my mission really is to help women transform their lives and take their lives to the next level. And the vehicle in which I do that for is YouTube, because people can have both creative and financial freedom doing what they absolutely love through YouTube. So that's, my mission is to help women just change their lives, not just like up level their lives, but we're talking like life, like completely change their lives and literally live out their dreams through YouTube. So yeah, that's the fourth one is your channel mission.
This is like, I could like watch a movie of someone talking this way of business. And I think this is exactly what this is all about. And also why, a certain part of like, even like sometimes I'll have potential clients or clients like on sales calls, or even like sitting in a coaching call where they're on the verge of tears because they haven't fully had the moment to decide what is it they want. What is it they want, or how do they want to live their lives? They've been in the rat race of, I got to make money. I got to do this thing. Feels like a lot of surface level. And I think that's where the hustle will stay. If you're just like, you do a lot of meaningless actions for some goal that you don't really know why you want that goal or what that is about. So having this like deeper purpose not only does strive to, like, you're leading a movement, you're leading a community, you're like, people are going to align with that. But this is exactly how mindset plays in. Like, if you're going to commit to building a YouTube channel, putting up a video a week, doing all of these things, like saying like, oh, I got to put up a video versus I'm putting up a video today because I want to spread this message. I want to inspire one person or my 100 followers that will always watch me, whatever it might be. That's going to be the energy that gets you to do those things and continue to do those things.
Yep, 100%. It's a lot of it is about mindset. And I actually just created a brand new program that I just launched not that long ago called Capture Your Confidence. And it's actually not just for YouTubers, just for all, like anyone that does like video content, because mindset I've had the opportunity to work with so many people, right? And I can tell right away when I start talking to someone or when I start working with them, like if they've got it in them to succeed, like especially on YouTube. It's just there's so much mindset. Like so much of my coaching is yes, it's about strategy, but I feel like it's so much around mindset, like so much about it because it's like you said, there's so many different elements. It's the commitment, the like the commitment, really, the motive, the self-motivation, the desire to have and help people, and also being able to like sustain this kind of content. And I don't know, there's just so many mindset things around it. That's really helps, really makes a difference on whether somebody can be sustainable on YouTube or not.
Absolutely. Mindset will always outdo strategy. Strategy is like a backbone structure that makes everything easier in the long term, but it's not if you're without mindset, or if you're without this power of belief in yourself, like the strategy will be there, but it's not going to be used the way you want to. So I think I like to just think of the backbone, like strategy's backbone, but everything else is your energy, how you feel. Even too, I feel like there's a lot of little pep talks I've been seeing online of like, got to be a little bit delusional to be an entrepreneur. Like you got to believe in yourself before the evidence is there. And that's exactly what it can be about.
Yeah. 100%. And I was going to say something and I forgot. It was about so like I found that people, if they have the right mindset, they can get onto YouTube and be successful without knowing like the ins and outs of all the strategy. But you can't be successful on YouTube if you say the ins and outs of all the YouTube strategy, but you don't have the right mindset. You know what I'm saying? So like you can actually see success without really knowing the strategy, as long as the mindset is there. But if you don't have any mindset, you can know all the strategy in the world. You can know all the SEO stuff. You can know all the things on creating the best thumbnail, but if the mindset isn't there, you're not going to make it on YouTube.
Absolutely. So, I heart double tap, agree with everything.
Yeah.
I know I've got a few more minutes. I have two last questions for you here. So if you were to, in general, just be encouraging people that are Instagrammers first and are ready and are like, okay, maybe I'll do YouTube, what would you say, or what would be your like pep talk? Like, yeah, now's the time, jump on YouTube, try it out. What would you tell them?
The best time to start a YouTube channel was, yesterday. And the second best time is today. Like do it. Like everybody says, I wish I started sooner. Every single person, whether or not they started like now or they started a year ago or whenever, they're like, I wish I started sooner, because there's still so much opportunity on YouTube. I think I'm biased. Okay. So, don't come at me if you're like a TikTok person or whatever, but I truly believe that YouTube is the best platform to change your life. And I talk about changing your life by making the most impact and making the most money. Because you can't change your life without making any money, right?
Of course.
But you also can't really make any money without making an impact. So those two things, and you can dramatically change your life with those with through YouTube. And there's so much opportunity. I see people every day that are joining my boot camp, that are joining my coaching, and every day they're brand new. And within 6 months or a year, their life has changed. Their business has changed. Their business is 10x. I see it all the time. There's just so much opportunity. And what's really amazing about YouTube, and this is another way that YouTube is different than the other platforms that I didn't think about earlier, is that your videos live forever. That's the thing. Like with these other platforms, there's like the constant like content, like 5 TikToks a day, 3 reels a day, the stories, Okay, that's great. That's great. That's going to get you somewhere. But what's amazing about YouTube, even though maybe like a long form video is a little bit more work, it's out there forever. And it's super cool when I get clients that come back and like, remember that video we worked on like a year ago when we did, in the boot camp, and it just did okay. I'm like, yeah, well, now it has 500,000 views. And I'm like, oh, awesome. Because that's YouTube. You can put something out there, and because it's owned by Google, because of the search capability, because of its algorithm, it will live out there forever. I think about every single YouTube video you put out is a piece of bait, like a fisherman, like a piece of bait. And the more videos you put out there, the more bait you have out there in the ocean, and the more fish you're going to get. So that's why, part of YouTube is consistency, putting content out there, because each piece of content is going to live forever. That is really amazing, especially as a business owner. It's really cool to have that out there and just be doing its thing. You do it right the first time, and it's working for you forever. And I love that.
Oh, exciting. We all want to be fishermen. We'll make sure to put your what is your you've been talking about the $39
Oh
intro,
yeah,
like,
yeah. So I've got my
make sure to put that in the show
$39.
notes, because it sounds like that's the perfect partner for anyone who's
Oh,
like, okay, you've got me, let me try it.
yeah, I'm like so proud of that because I just released it. I worked on it for over a year, and I really wanted something that when people consume it, they're like, I would have paid 10 times that. And like I get people have been told me, oh my gosh, I wanted something that was low investment, that would actually make a real difference. And so I put so much into it. So I'm really proud of it. The YouTube audience attraction system, you can find it at erikaviera.net /YAAS. It's only $39. And then, within like 3 or 4 hours of consuming the content, you'll have like a full blown YouTube game plan, understanding how to get started. Even if you've already started, I feel it's truly necessary for every single person. I make every single person that does my boot camp, that does my one-on-one coaching, go through that system. You have to, without a doubt. And it's so funny because most people, it's like those are the invisible elements. Those are the invisible elements that are literally will propel you to success. Most people do not even do it, and they just get started. Like, what video? They maybe do their niche. Like, oh, what's my channel topic? Okay, now I want to go and figure out, like, buy a camera and study SEO. And okay, let me make a thumbnail. Right? It's like they skip all that, and it's the most important. So yeah, it's my YouTube audience attraction system. I have it linked in my Instagram bio as well. At Beauty and the Vlog is my Instagram. And yeah. And then I have my boot camp. If you want more, if you want my feedback and my feedback on to help you figure it out, that the boot camp is a great place because, we have group coaching sessions, and you have 6 months access to me. And yeah, so that's erikaviera.net /bootcamp. So, and my podcast, the YouTube Power Hour podcast.
Do the show notes, all the things.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that that you guys get to spend more time with Erika. The last question, so we can finish off the podcast here. I like to ask my guests, what does being limitless mean to you?
Ooh. I feel like with these kind of questions, I always give an answer, and then I'm in the shower like 48 hours later, be like, oh, I should have said this. Always. I'm like, I always come up with a really good answer like later on. But I would say it's like living the dream, and whatever that means to you. So if living the dream is making a huge impact and having your own business and having balance in your schedule, like, then that's limitless. If living the dream, because I have friends and people that do it all, right? If you're living the dream is being able to be a stay-at-home mom and be there with your kids 24/7, that's limitless, right? Because that's your dream. If it's, out there doing both, being able to do both, then that's your dream. So it's really just like living the dream, is limitless. And that could be traveling all over the world. And that's why I love YouTube, because I feel that YouTube is a vehicle for people to be limitless, to travel the world, creating content, if that's what they want to do, to be able to help people find a job, like that one, boot camper of mine, to be able to help people design, their dream homes, and it's just doing what you love.
I love this. If you all did not feel Erika's energy on this podcast, there's something wrong with you, because she is excited about YouTube, and she's made me excited. Erika,
Yay.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I want to make sure everyone gets to know you in the show notes, and hopefully they go and take a look at YouTube Power Hour, because that was such a wonderful binge for me.
Oh, good.
But thanks again for joining us.
Yeah. All the stories I talked about, I mean, I've interviewed them pretty much all on my podcast. So it's like, yeah, if you want to binge the YouTube Power Hour podcast, you can find it on YouTube. You can find it, on podcasts. And that's why I love it, because there's just so many inspiring stories, and it's inspiring. So thank you so much, Jamie, for having me on the show. It was such a pleasure chatting with you.
It was such a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.